Hi there, Bwana here. Today I'm going to go over my cooking system with you. I have some of the same things some people do, and I have some differences, and I'm going to talk about those. First of all, why do you need a cooking system when you're hiking? Well, you don't. You can hike stoveless, as it's called, and what you do then, there are a couple of ways to do that. But the most common way is probably to eat energy bars, Snickers, snacks, any kind of solid food that doesn't require cooking. Some people have jars that they use to rehydrate dehydrated foods without eating them, and they take those. I, however, am a cooking guy. I love to cook. I'm a bachelor. I have been a bachelor and discovered at a young age that one way to get a woman to your house is if you can cook. So I learned to cook pretty well. And in watching the videos, reading the blogs, there's not a lot of cooking on the Appalachian Trail. It's mostly boiling water. I became a canister guy because I'm gonna at breakfast I'm going to have coffee, I'm going to have grits, and I'm going to have oatmeal. So I have to boil a good bit of water. And in looking at videos, found a gentleman goes by the name of the Goat Mumbler, and he does a lot of outside videos, and I highly recommend his channel to you. And he had found a system that he thought was a really good economical system, and so that's the one I went with because it's available, and I liked it once I picked it up and played with it. And that was the Stanley system. And this is the primary pot. Now, the system actually comes with two synthetic cups that fit inside here. They're heavy and they only hold 6 ounces. They basically have no use for a through hike as far as I'm concerned, and he agreed with that, and he discarded the cups. But this holds, it's stainless steel. It's not titanium. A lot of people just have to have titanium because it's a little lighter than steel. I don't know that it conducts heat any better or lasts any longer than stainless steel. But a lot of that seems to be the trend, is we're all going to get titanium. This is stainless steel. It probably weighs an ounce more than a comparable titanium container would, but it holds 20 ounces. And when you're talking about having to use a lot of boiling water, or hot water, really, at breakfast, which is what I'm going to do, because I'm not drinking just 1 cup of coffee. It's going to be a lot. I used to sit outside on Sunday mornings and read 2 Sunday newspapers, and I drink 2 pots of coffee. So I'm a coffee guy, which is why I'm going to do a separate video on my coffee system, which I kind of stole from Alton Brown of the Food Network, from a broadcast I watched years ago. And I kind of modified some of the things he did into my little system. And if you follow any of the blogs and the Facebook pages and things like that, there's a debate on coffee. Are you going to have coffee? What kind of coffee are you going to have? There are percolators and everything else, but I'll go over that in a separate video. But anyway, I need a lot of hot water in the morning, and I don't want to have to boil it twice necessarily. So this holds 20 ounces right here. But if you notice, the line is right here. You've actually got probably 8 more ounces on here. And the Goat Mumbler points out in his video that this will hold maybe 28 ounces. That's enough water for me to deal with in the mornings with coffee, with my grits, which I'm doing 2 packs of, and with my oatmeal, which I'm doing 2 packs of. So that should give me all the hot water I need in the morning. And that was my main concern with picking out your primary cooking pot, basically. And like I said, this was, I think, $14.95 at Walmart, so it's inexpensive as well. And it has a little handle that comes down, snaps into place. I think this is steel too, so it might get hot. I haven't tried it yet. It also has a top on it with a pouring spout kind of thing, some holes in it, which will release steam and allow you to hold the pot down and pour water over what you're doing if you want to keep other water in and keep it warmer. And the top has a little synthetic device to pick it up where you won't burn yourself, which is important to me because I have a tendency to grab stuff when they're hot. So that was my primary cooking pot, or cooking device. And I got that from the goat mumbler. And the other thing he said was, you need some sort of other container. Now, a lot of people will just use this, and they'll boil water, put their ramen in, put their grease in, eat out of it, put their coffee in, drink out of it. I really didn't want to do that. I don't want to mix my grits and my coffee and everything, so I'm going to incur another little weight, but it's important to me because, like I said, I like food, and one of the things that's going to be a pleasure out there, I think, for most people is eating and drinking coffee or beer or whatever you can get your hands on other than just spring water. So what he recommended was, he said, right down the aisle, there are these stainless steel cups, basically. But it's also a little pot. You could actually use this to boil water. And if you notice, the lid fits on it too, same size. And so use this as a container. Boil your water, pour your grits in here. You can pour your water into the grits, stir them up, and that's that. And it comes with another handle on it that folds in, so it's somewhat compact. It also will sit right in here. And so that's a neat configuration thing. And I'm a configuration guy. I like how things fit together. And so you can do that, and then you can break down this handle, put it over the top, put it in here. Very well configured. But since I have both oatmeal and grits at breakfast, I thought, well, is there another container? And I thought about using different things that I would already have. But I went ahead and bought this. They call it a cup, but it's bigger than a cup, but it's smaller than a bowl. It's kind of in between. And it folds up like this. And I can use this for my grits or for something else. This is something, if I find I really don't need this, I can get rid of some of this along the way. But for now, I'm going to carry this because while it's not as versatile as the cup on here, it's very lightweight. Probably weighs maybe an ounce, if that. It's very compact, and you can fold it up like this. If I can get the air out. There you go. You put it on top here and stretch it over. Also, it configures well. Then you put a Ranger band on this. And so those are the things, basically the cooking ware I will use, and the eating implements. I also got, a lot of people use now a titanium spork. Some of them fold up. This was something they had at Walmart. It's synthetic. It bends. You'd have to work hard, probably break it. The spoon on one side, it cost about $2, I think it cost, and there were a couple in the pack. I'm just going to carry one. But it's got a fork on one side and a spoon on one side. It's a little too big to fit inside there, but you can fit it underneath the handle here, or just put it. I'm going to have this in just a little dry sack that I have for the whole implement. And that leads us to stoves. Now, the state-of-the-art hiking stove is put out by a company called MSR. It's called a Pocket Rocket. And I went and looked at the Pocket Rocket. They have it at Dick's World of Sports here. And I didn't really like it. It's small, and it felt unsubstantial to me. It's so lightweight. Now, that may not be the case. It costs about $45. So I looked at the Pocket Rocket. I said, well, I want to look at some other stoves. And there's some others that are even lighter that you get. Academy Sports here in town had kind of a knockoff of the Pocket Rocket. It's $17. It was a little heavier. And I wasn't quite sure. I couldn't find reviews about it. Whether, it's obviously all this stuff now, this equipment's made in China. But I couldn't find anything about it online. Any reviews by anybody who, uses a lot of these kind of things, camping equipment. Goat Mumbler hasn't seen it. So when I was at Walmart and I was buying the Stanley thing, I found this. This is called the Peak One. It is made by Coleman, which is a major manufacturer. There are a lot of reviews about this on YouTube and on the internet. Very good reviews. The downside to this, it weighs 2.5 ounces more than the Pocket Rocket. Now, I don't find that necessarily a downside because you get a little more with it, and I'll be able to do some more with it. It's called the Peak One. But like all of them, it has some sort of platform that folds up, or in the case of the Pocket Rocket, kind of folds this way. But to basically configure itself where it's not, necessarily takes up a lot of space. But you have on here also a flame disperser, which this is the kind of thing you'll see in your gas stove. If you have a gas stove at home, it'll have a flame disperser on there. So the flame comes up like through the piping here, and then it's going to be dispersed. And that's unlike the Pocket Rocket and the other stoves I've seen, which you just basically get a direct flame. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because that allows me to do a lot of things. It also has, this is the adjustment valve on here where you can adjust the gas, and the flames will come out the side and actually come up like this. And your pot is going to sit on top of it. This is essentially the eye of the stove, if you will, that you would sit your pot on, just like that. And the thing about this I like, first of all, it's $17, so it's a lot cheaper than the Pocket Rocket. It gets good reviews. They also say this thing's a tank, that you can't break it, bend it. It is very very durable. And I really like that because, I don't want to break something. If anybody can break something, I promise it's me. And I started thinking, I like to cook. Cooking something, I mean literally cooking something, not boiling water, but cooking something is next to impossible. It's not impossible, but it's pretty doggone hard with something that just shoots one flame straight up like a Bunsen burner, which is what the Pocket Rocket and the knockoff I looked at and the other stoves I've seen online do. This disperses a flame like your gas oven would, or your gas stove. And I'm like, I could do some real cooking on that. So here's the plan. The plan is I can get an aluminum pie plate, the disposable ones that are, $1 a pack at Walmart. I can get one of those pie pans about 7-8 inches, and I can put it on top of this. This is rated to go to 6 inches. That's where the flame disperses to. The flame doesn't, even in your other gas stoves at home, the flame doesn't cover the entire surface of your cooking utensil. And so I'm like, well, I can get that. If I can get a 7-inch pan on this, I can brown ground beef. If I can brown ground beef, I don't have to go with the usual hiker diet all the time. I can go in and resupply. I can hike out with a pound of ground beef, can of pasta sauce, some mushrooms, a piece of cheese, half a bottle of wine, and I can have and a pack of pasta, and I can boil the water for the pasta in my pot, brown the ground beef in the pan, pour out the water, pour the pasta in here, put the cheese on top, open my bottle of wine. I've got a nice little meal. So that's how I'm approaching things, how I'm approaching my cooking system, and I look forward to making a few semi-gourmet meals while I'm out on the trail. Hope you come have a cup of coffee with me. Subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.